let's take a look how you can indent your paragraphs, create maybe a hanging indent or a double indent. When you work with indenting your paragraphs, you want to make sure that your ruler is turned on. And I'm going to just move my mouse over to my scroll bar on the far right, and at the very top you're going to see a little symbol. If I click on that symbol, it's either going to turn my ruler off or on. So it's a toggle feature. You click to add and you click to remove. On my ruler at the very beginning, you're going to see two symbols. They're on top of each other. The first little symbol, if I mouse over, it should come up with first line indent. Then the little hat below that is called the hanging indent, and then the square is called the left indent. So look what happens when I press my tab key on my keyboard. Those two actually separate. So the first little indent symbol on my ruler is working with my first line, and the second one is where my second, third, etc. lines wrap around to. Now look what happens when I press tab again. They both move over 5 spaces, because on my ruler, or my tabs are set, so every 5 spaces I have a tab set. So every time I press tab, I'm going to move over 5 spaces. If I want to move back, I need to hold down my shift key and then press tab, and see how it joins my markers together right up here on my ruler. And if I do a shift tab again, I'm going back 5 spaces and then back 5 spaces. So tab, I go first line, it will tab over, tab again, both of them will move together. Now at the very end, I have another marker, and this marker is, if I mouse over, is called the right indent. So if I drag that to the left on my ruler, I actually is setting an indent for that paragraph only. Now, instead of dragging this to the right or dragging these markers over, sometimes I want to put them back to the left and the right side of the ruler. The quickest way to reset everything is Control Q. And the way I remember this, that Q is to quit and put my markers back. Let's look at how to do a hanging indent. I can again go to the bottom marker here on my ruler, and it's very hard to kind of grab that and drag it over, so I always have a difficult time. I much prefer to hold my control key on my keyboard and press the letter T. I remember T to tear those markers apart. If I do Control T again, it will move the bottom or the second, third lines over to the right 5 spaces, and so on. Now if I want to bring that back in, it's Control Shift T, and it will bring that bottom marker over 5 spaces, or I can do a Control Q to quit. Tabs can be a little bit of a challenge, and I'm just going to go over and show you a few little tips and tricks that just may make it a little bit easier when you're setting your tabs and working with your document. So why would I use tabs? First of all, I don't want to be in a situation where I have to tab over and type my information, tab, 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 type city, maybe tab, 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 and then type in a phone number. When I hit enter, I have to tab, type name again, tab, 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 city, and so on. I want to be able to go tab, type my title, tab, type another title, and so on, hit enter, and I want to be able to manipulate my columns so everything looks balanced. And the way it's set up right now, I have to hit tab in between my columns. I'm going to go up to my paragraph marker on my home ribbon and turn my show hide marker on so you can actually see my tabs in my document. So every time I press tab, I'm tabbing over 5 spaces. This is very time consuming, and also it can cause problems when editing. I'm going to close out of this document and not save it. And I have an existing document. Turning on my show high paragraph markers, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and in between each column I press my tab. Now this is a lot faster setting this up with your tab sets than working with the default settings, which is a tab every 5 spaces. So if you look on my ruler, I have an L, which is about just a little bit before the 0.5 on my ruler, and I have another L left aligned for 1.5, and then for 3, and about 4.2. So everything's going to be aligned left. So when I go to the end of my document, hit enter, and then press my tab key, see how it tabs over to that 0.4 approximately, and tab again and tab again. So to set this up, all I have to do is go to the very, very beginning of my ruler, and what you're going to see at the very beginning to the left is a letter L. And when I move my mouse and mouse over that letter L, the left tab pops up. If I click, I have an upside down T, which is a center tab. Click again, align right, click again, and upside down T with a decimal tab. So all I would have to do is click and find the tab that I want, and then I would just go to my ruler, click to add that tab. So I'm going to demonstrate this by going to a new document. On my ruler, I'm going to click on the 1 inch, 3 inch, and 5 inch. Now look what happens when I press tab and type in information. See how much more faster that is than if I were to, I'll just put an area code in instead of the full phone number. And whoops, I made a typo. See how much faster that is? Now, if I don't like how my columns are lined up, I always select my paragraph. So with my show high paragraph marker up here, I can see I have 1, 2, 3 paragraphs, because every time you hit enter, you create a paragraph. So by selecting these 3 paragraphs, I can edit and move my tabs to the left or the right on my ruler. So moving to the 1 inch tab, if I drag that to the left, see how the whole column moves? And if I drag the center tab over, and then that's not centering it within the document, it's moving my middle tab, I should say, to the left, and my centering under that tab. Actually, I'm left aligning. And if I drag this one over, I'm going to align left under that tab. Now, I'm going to remove this tab on the ruler and see what happens. Everything bunches up. But I'm not going to panic, because all I have to do is go back to the very beginning of my ruler, and when I click, I can find the tab that I want, and then click on the ruler again, and everything will align under that tab set. This time I picked a center tab, and see how the text is aligned under the tab, but it's centering aligned. So if I get rid of this tab, I can go in and get the right tab, and now everything's aligned right under that tab. So it's very easy to edit your paragraphs. Really important to always select your paragraphs, then go to your ruler and move your tab to the left or to the right, or you can drag that tab off of your ruler and then go back and find the tab that you do want, and then click to place that back onto the ruler. Here's another I think useful tip, because instead of hitting enter at the end of each line, I can hold my shift key and press enter. And I'm going to get and delete that paragraph marker. So by going to the end and doing a shift enter, As you can see now, I only have one paragraph, so Shift Enter is a soft return. It will allow me to go to the next line without physically pressing my Enter key. Now, how many paragraphs do I have now? One. So I do not need to select my 3 lines. All I have to do is click somewhere within that paragraph, go up to my ruler, drag to the right or drag to the left to move my tabs over. If I have any extra tabs at any time, I can just drag those off.